Greetings, acolytes of a galaxy far, far away, and welcome back to the channel. Recently, with the release of the Kenobi series, we have gotten a lot more insight into the lives of the Imperial Inquisitors, as well as the Inquisitor culture within their own order, a sub-order of the Sith. The entire lot of them are ambitious, backstabbing conspirators that would just as soon kill one another on their own as they would a Jedi if it meant advancing within their ranks or their power in the dark side. Anything to garner the praise from Lord Vader. This harkens back to how the Sith acted back in the days of old during the Old Republic era. But of course, it is very important to note that despite their similarities, the Inquisitors are not Sith. Darth Sidious is quite attuned to the rule of two and stands by it, and treats the Inquisitors as little more than Force-gifted lackeys that he can sic on the remaining Jedi of the galaxy, just so Lord Vader doesn't have to. Unlike the Sith, the Inquisitors are bound to the hierarchies and the ranks within the Empire. As far as the grand scheme of things are concerned, the Inquisitors as a whole is just another branch of the Imperial military, just as much as the Stormtrooper Corps is, just with special ranks and privileges, as well of course of the sole task of hunting and killing Jedi. The Inquisitors was structured in a number of set ranks that was likely based on accomplishment rather than raw power and connection in the Force. However, that is exactly what we are come to talk about today. For this video, we will be restructuring the 12 Inquisitors we know of in canon and ranking them in power based on what we have seen them do. So without further ado, let's rank the Inquisitors based on their power levels and determine who is the weakest among their ranks, as well as the most powerful. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of you guys that watch the channel haven't actually subscribed yet, so if you've been enjoying the content and want to stay up to date with everything Star Wars lore related, force crush that subscribe button. Now, students of the Force, let's begin with our assessment. Just to quickly get them out of the way, we begin our list with the lowest two Inquisitors that only briefly appear in the Darth Vader comic book run, but don't actually accomplish much of anything. In fact, they do quite the opposite. We don't even know their names or their ranks, but one was a black-skinned Twi'lek male, and the other was a Ren-skinned female from an unidentified race. The two Inquisitors accompanied Lord Vader on his mission to kill Jedi Master and former council member Eth Koth, as well as his family. The two Inquisitors, though, were uninterested in their roles as Inquisitors, and were much more infatuated with each other romantically. The male showed more anti-imperialistic affection and desired to escape with his female cohort. The female Inquisitor was ready to run away with him as well, and offered to kill Vader so that they'd be free. This treason ultimately resulted in them both being executed by Lord Vader himself. This goes to show just how foolish these two Inquisitors were, that they thought that they could even stand up to the might of their master, or that their master would ever let them go freely. This is why it is so difficult to place these two members, but we are firmly placing them here at the bottom of the list. The next Inquisitor we'd like to mention is the sixth brother, who was dispatched so quickly and easily we had to place him here at the bottom. It was from his lightsabers that Ahsoka had gotten the red crystals and purified them in order to make her new silver-colored blades. As I'm sure many of you well know, there are very few naturally occurring red kyber crystals, and as a result, many Sith have either synthetically made their red crystals through Sith alchemy, or they take their Jedi kyber crystals and put it through a process known as bleeding. When a Darksider bleeds a crystal, they go through a careful and rigorous process of pouring all their hatred, pain, and malice into the lightsaber crystal during an intense meditation. If it is successful, the crystal will turn a deep crimson color, as it has now begun to bleed. It is only when a light side wielder takes a red crystal and heals it through the Force with compassion and love will it heal, and the color ultimately turns to white. Anyway, during their meeting and confrontation, Ahsoka used the Force to pull the kyber crystals out of the sixth brother's lightsaber hilts, causing them to become unstable and then explode, in his face actually, killing him nearly instantly. Again, this is against an unarmed Ahsoka Tano, and not an Ahsoka Tano from the Rebels era either. This is an Ahsoka Tano who has just barely survived the events of Order 66, and the sixth brother put up little fight against Ahsoka despite her being unarmed. For the next Inquisitor, we are placing the fourth sister. This is the green-skinned Inquisitor we see accompanying the Inquisitors in live action in Obi-Wan Kenobi. She is seen at the Inquisitor headquarters and in the background of a few scenes while hunting Kenobi. At the time of this video, we have yet to see her show any skill in combat or perform any notable feats or useful tactics in the show. The only other media that she appears in is a mission to Fortress Vader. In this comic though, we don't really see her do anything other than go in disguise, and she fails in that mission too. With the fourth sister failing in the only 2 missions that we know of her, we place her here on the list until further evidence is provided. What is important to note though is she has presumably lasted several years as an Inquisitor. Moving up, we have the 8th brother. Much like a few of the others, the 8th brother was one who exemplifies more than anything else one of the main problems that Sidious had with the Inquisitorius, that being their incompetence, with the 8th brother being one of the most incompetent of all. Being tasked with tracking down Maul on Malachor, he instead finds himself facing Kanan, Ezra, and Ahsoka Tano. Rather than making a plan, he instead attacks all 3 Jedi head on, using just his lightsaber and explosives. Without gaining any ground with his initial attack, he instantly retreats and calls in the help from the 7th sister and the 5th brother. We don't really get to see much of his martial prowess as he spends most of his screen time running away. This is exactly how he dies, as Kanan manages to damage his lightsaber, which causes him to plummet to his death. Speaking of the 7th sister, she is next on our list. Despite her intimidating visage, cunning action, and persistence, we can't help but place her rather low on our ranking. The 7th sister is definitely the brains of her duo with the 5th brother, but lacks enough skill to finish off Kanan or Ezra, both of which are technically at the Padawan level in terms of skill and power at the time that the 7th sister faces off against them. However, it should be noted that the 7th sister is clearly more competent than the other Inquisitors listed on this list so far, and it is at this point in our rankings that we will experience a pendulum shift, as the Inquisitors actually now have become viable threats. Still though, the 7th sister is bested by an unarmed Ahsoka, and meets her end alongside the 5th and the 8 brothers on Malachor at the hands of Maul, who brutally dismembers her with his lightsaber. Despite her lack of notable accomplishments or even skill in combat, the 7th sister at least deserves some notable recognition for her persistence, as she is one of the few Inquisitors that we've listed so far that is fully dedicated to the cause and absolutely tries her best, which is more than we can say for the other early entries on the list. Up next, we have the 9th sister. Finally moving towards the better half of the Inquisitors, the 9th sister is first introduced to us in Jedi Fallen Order, as she serves as a secondary antagonist next to Inquisitor Trilla. Being a female Dowatan, she is a hulking individual with immense strength and a massive lightsaber to boot. She is a brick wall and a very intimidating Inquisitor compared to the others, and would easily strike fear into any Jedi that she lay her eye upon. Unfortunately though, it seems as if her physical strength and hulking physical might is the only thing that we can speak of as a positive way for this Inquisitor. The 9th sister serves best as a sidekick and is usually just taking orders rather than acting out her own plans. She relies far more on her muscles than any brains or technique in the realm of the Force. Brute strength is the farthest thing from making you a formidable opponent in the Star Wars universe though. Due to this, she is little more than an obstacle for Cal Kestis, a dragon to be slain if you will. Her lack of forward planning is actually the entire reason that Cal escapes from Trilla in the first place, when he first encounters the Inquisitor, as the 9th sister opts to simply drop him off the side of the ledge rather than ensuring that Cal is dead. Although to some this seems like a sound plan, Jedi are known for being able to survive great falls, and not only an Inquisitor, but a Force wielder herself. The 9th sister should know this, and should have better known that just to drop him off of the edge and out of her line of vision would not be enough without at least stabbing him with her lightsaber first. Now though, we are heading into the big hitters of the Inquisitors. For the next one, we have the 3rd sister, Reva. Some of you may be surprised that she is ranking so relatively midway in our list, but hopefully our reasoning will make sense to you. At the time of this video's release, we are past Kenobi Episode 3, and despite it being known that Reva is quite capable, she has demonstrated herself to be rash and impulsive, not to mention to have been dominated by the Force by the other 2 Inquisitors on numerous times, especially the 5th brother. But we cannot deny that despite her impulsiveness, she is at least cunning and resourceful, as well as one of the most intelligent Inquisitors by far. Reva is intelligent about her deception when her martial skills fail her. She is also apparently very talented in Force insight, able to sense when someone is fearful or has some form of information that she wants to know. She does this when she was able to pick out Owen Lars from the crowd, as she could feel through the Force that he knew something, even if she couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was. She can get the impression when people know things, and when she really needs to, she can probe someone's mind through the Force and extract the information manually, a feat we have also seen Kylo Ren do. It is clear that Reva's talents lie in the more intellectual, psychological sides of the Force than rather brute strength and martial skill, which though, ironically, makes her the perfect fit for an Inquisitor. And I would also like to point out that Reva very well could move up far higher on this list when the Kenobi series concludes. And now, students of the Force, we have reached the final four, the truly formidable group of Inquisitors. Taking the place right above Reva is the fifth brother. We place him right above her due to his power in the Force as well as his physical abilities. In Star Wars Rebels, he was mostly depicted as being another brute strength character without much else to offer. However, in Obi-Wan Kenobi, we see a much different side of the fifth brother. Like Reva and the seventh sister, he deeply desires the role of the Grand Inquisitor and is ready to do anything to get it, even believing that he is next in line. It's been speculated that he is actually, in terms of ranks, the second highest ranked of the Inquisitors. Although Reva's power and persuasion and mind probing make her effective at what she does, she can still be easily dominated by the powers of the fifth brother through the Force, who demonstrated he could break her Force shield and subdue her while reclined in his chair. Therefore, we place the formidable fifth brother above Reva on our list. Now it is time for us to discuss Trilla, the second sister. If anyone deserved the role of Grand Inquisitor, it would be she. Cunning, powerful, intimidating, and very strong in the Force, Trilla serves as the main antagonist in Jedi Fallen Order, coming antagonizingly close to killing Cal Kestis multiple times. She is the perfect combination of strength and cunning. Fierce and relentless, she feels like an indomitable foe every time she makes an appearance in the game. Her lightsaber skill is very aggressive and far more effective than the other Inquisitors who seem to just get tossed around in a duel. Trilla is strong and agile, and her powers in the Force leave little to be desired. Of course, we can't help but mention that she does get most of the character work out of all of the Inquisitors that we've seen so far. We also get the impression that of the Inquisitors, she is one that has suffered the most. By the end of her story, we truly get a feel for her, and in true Star Wars fashion, she becomes a very sympathetic villain that nearly turned back to the light side before she was brutalized by Darth Vader for that only sentiment. Interestingly enough, she was considered by a few of the other Inquisitors to be stronger than the Grand Inquisitor, but of course that wasn't something that they shared out loud. That may surprise you to know that our number 2 spot is the 10th brother. Appearing only in the comics, the 10th brother was once a Jedi Master named Proset Dibs. Although completely blind, he was regarded by Mace Windu as being exceptionally powerful in the Force and mindfully insightful. In fact, he was handpicked by Mace Windu for a special mission during the early days of the Clone War. During the mission, Master Dibs would continuously express his objections for the Jedi going to war, and detested their new titles as generals, much to the chagrin of Mace Windu, who was also having these secret feelings but trying to bury them under the sense of duty to the Republic. This boiling confrontation came to a head when Master Dibs uncovered the truth of the nature of their mission and confronted Mace Windu about it. He would go on to rant about how he truly felt about the whole war, and how he wanted to defect from the Jedi and have no part in the role that they were about to play. After Windu asked if he was done with his tirade, Master Dibs punched him in the face. The two, though, then engaged in a lightsaber duel, and despite Dibs being blind, he was still very much a capable warrior, keeping up with Windu for the most part of the duel, though of course in the end, he was ultimately bested. Sometime later, he would become the 10th brother in the Inquisitor's ranks. In the end though, he would ultimately be killed when his purge troopers turned against him, as the inhibitor chips were activated within their minds by a Jedi, causing them to mow him and several other Inquisitors down. We place the 10th brother so high on the list due to his known power as a Jedi Master prior to falling to the dark side of the Force, as well as his ability to compete with Mace Windu for a time, a feat that no one else on this list can boast. The 10th brother was a Jedi Master. And now, number 1, the Grand Inquisitor. This most likely comes as no surprise to any of you, as the Grand Inquisitor is that for a reason. Powerful, skilled, and ever so bloodthirsty for Jedi, he leads the Inquisitors and reports only to Darth Vader himself. The Grand Inquisitor was once a Jedi Temple Guard, who had become disillusioned with the Jedi following the trial of the Jedi Padawan Barriss Offee. Barriss, who gave a passionate speech about the state of the Jedi Order, touched the heart of what would become the Grand Inquisitor. As a temple guard, he had been present for that hearing guards that had been ordered to escort her to her prison cell. Talented in the Force as well as in lightsaber combat, the Grand Inquisitor spent an extensive amount of time poring over the Jedi archives to study their combat styles and learn everything he could about the Jedi in order to make himself the perfect hunter for them. He could analyze somebody's lightsaber dueling style in a matter of seconds, deducing that Kanan Jarrus was a utilizer of Form 3 Sarisu. He also has defeated Kanan and Ezra on multiple occasions, not to mention that he has presumably been a Jedi nearly as long as the 10th brother has. Instead though, being tasked with the protection of the Jedi Temple. The 10th brother is also the most skilled master of the Inquisitors' lightsabers, and the variant that the Inquisitors possess, using it masterfully against the Jedi. He's also the Inquisitor with the most recorded Jedi kills under his belt. So therefore, here at the channel, we believe that he deserves this #1 spot. And so did Vader, as he gave him the rank of the Grand Inquisitor. So, students of the Force, what do you think of this very long list? Do you agree with our rankings for the Inquisitors? Make sure to leave a comment down below expressing your thoughts, as we would very much love to hear your feedback. Now, until next time, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.